Hello everyone, my name is Aarti and you're watching HW News. The entire world is now watching anxiously at Eurasia as ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine is escalating at a rapid pace. Many countries have expressed the possibility of another world war. US President Joe Biden has been stating that Russia will invade Ukraine and if it happens, the United States will intervene. This morning he spoke to Ukrainian president and assured him of all the defensive assistance from the United States military. Although Biden has said that he will not send the American troops in Ukraine, but America will ensure military assistance to the country. This morning, Russia, in a shock move, signed a decree recognizing two breakaway regions in eastern Ukraine as independent. The move is believed to escalate the conflict between the two countries and worsen the tensions with the West. Ukrainian civilians are now taking part in military drills to prepare for a possible war. The Ukrainian defense forces are teaching them to handle automatic rifles and military formations. Meanwhile, Indian government has issued an advisory and asked the relatives of the staff of the embassy in Kyiv to return home. India has advised all the Indian citizens, including students living in Ukraine, to return home immediately if their stay in Ukraine is not urgent. India will also be sending additional flights to Ukraine to evacuate the Indian nationals in the country. Now, Russia's decision was met with strong reaction from the West. Most of the Western countries have criticized Russia for trampling upon the Ukrainian sovereignty. In response to Russian President Vladimir Putin's recognizing Ukraine's breakaway region, US President Joe Biden on Monday signed an executive order to block the trade and investment in these parts of Ukraine. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson also hinted at sanctions. Australia, Japan, South Korea also criticized Russia's actions, whereas India has called for restraint on both the sides. Now, the tensions came with economic cost too, as the share market tanked by 1,000 points, and as the situation between the two countries worsened, with the possibility of entire world being engulfed in this whirlwind, the question on everyone's mind is the world war now imminent? Well, that depends upon what the countries decide to do next. But in this video today, let us deep dive into the Russia-Ukraine crisis and how will it impact India. Now, before we get into those details, I would like to request all of our viewers to please subscribe to HW News. What we do at HW News is speak truth to power no matter what the situation. We call a spade a spade. We become your voice and raise your question. Questions of your employment, questions of food on your table. We talk about small businessmen, loan moratorium, and number of such issues that affect your life, our life as middle class Indians. But doing so comes with a cost, legal and otherwise. However, we are not going to crawl. We are going to stand stronger and speak up for you. All you need to do is support us. Go to our website www.hwnews.in/subscribe and select the plan that you want to take up. If you don't want a one-time payment option, you can also become our member on YouTube by clicking on the join button below. So when you pay us, you ensure that free and fair media survives. You ensure that those who amplify your issues survive. Well, coming back to our topic at hand, let us understand the issue point by point. Let us first talk about one question. Question number one, Russia recognizing Ukraine breakaway regions, what it means. This morning, the world woke up to a news of Russia recognizing the two breakaway regions of Ukraine as independent. These regions are Donetsk and Luhansk. These two regions are under control of separatists who are backed by Russia. The separatists in these two regions broke away from the Ukrainian government control in 2014 and declared themselves as independent People's Republic. These regions were unrecognized until now. As I said, Russia recognized them as independent regions today. Ukraine says since 2014 separation, more than 15,000 people have lost their lives in the conflict. It has also accused Russia of covertly supporting the rebels in the region and providing them military assistance. Russia also in the past has provided these two regions, together known as Donbas, with financial aid, supplies of COVID-19 vaccines, and has also issued at least 8 lakh Russian passports to residents. Moscow said it has been doing so on humanitarian grounds and not with a plan to invade Ukraine, but Ukraine feels otherwise. It says that Russia's covert backing to the separatists in Luhansk and Donetsk was with ulterior motive of capturing Ukraine. Now, since Russia has recognized Luhansk and Donetsk as independent region, it no longer has to support them covertly. It can, as an ally, send them direct assistance on the pretext that it is helping the independent regions protect themselves against Ukrainian attack. According to reports, some 190,000 strong Russian military built-up is deployed at Ukraine border, which according to the West is ready to invade Ukraine. Now the second question, what it means for Minsk peace agreement. This is not the first time that Russia and Ukraine have inched closer to a war. Both the countries have been engaged in conflict since 1991. We will talk about the history of this conflict in another video, but in the long-standing war, 2014 and 2015 Minsk agreement came as a ray of hope. In 2014, Ukraine government and the Russian-backed rebels agreed on 12-point ceasefire deal. The deal, however, broke through immediately in the next 5 months. In 2015, there was another ceasefire deal signed. This deal had more stakeholders, including representatives of Russia, Ukraine, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, that is OSCE, and the leaders of two pro-Russian separatist regions. Leaders of France and Germany who were present there also showed support to this deal. However, this deal remains unimplemented to date, majorly because Russia says it is not a party to the conflict and thus it is not bound by the terms and conditions of this deal. For example, one of the points talks about no foreign military presence in the two regions, but Russia insisted till now that it has no military there. However, with signing the decree, the Russian President Vladimir Putin has also approved deployment of Russian forces in Donetsk and Luhansk as peacekeeping force, thus violating the peace deal condition. Let us talk about now the third point. What triggered Russia-Ukraine conflict again? So far we spoke about what Russia is doing. Let us also now understand what triggered Russia's actions. For that, we have to look back to 2008. Almost 14 years ago, Russian President Vladimir Putin had opposed Ukraine's membership in NATO. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization is an intergovernmental military alliance between 27 European countries, 2 North American countries and 1 Eurasian country led by the United States. On 14th of September 2020, Ukrainian President Zelensky had approved Ukraine's new national security strategy, which provides for the development of the distinctive partnership with NATO with the aim of membership in NATO. Now, Russia says Ukraine becoming a part of NATO and NATO expanding to Eurasia threatens its national security. But the West and Ukraine accuse Russia of trying to revive the Soviet Empire. Let's look at the fourth question now. How did Ukraine respond to Russian action? Responding to Russian moves, Ukrainian President Zelensky in a televised address said that Ukraine will respond if Russia sticks to aggressive stances. He said, and I quote, "We are on our land. We don't fear anything or anyone. We don't owe anything to anyone and we won't give anything up." Zelensky also met the National Security and Defense Council to decide the next course of action. He also dialed French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz to discuss measures to address this ever-growing crisis. In his address, he also urged the West to take swift measures in response to Russia's actions. He sought retaliatory sanctions on Moscow and urged its Western allies to keep their promises. Meanwhile, Ukrainian Defense Minister also said on Tuesday, he accused Russian President Vladimir Putin of trying to restore the Soviet Union to its old form. Now the fifth question, how did the West react to this incident? Several countries including Australia, South Korea, Britain, Germany, France have condemned Russian move. The emergency UNSC meeting on Monday night also condemned the Russian action. Moreover, the United States and Germany have imposed some sanctions on the breakaway regions. Britain is contemplating hard economic sanctions against Russia. Meanwhile, India has called for restraint by both the sides. Now let us talk about the sixth question and the most important one. How will India be impacted due to this crisis? Now, because of India's important strategic and military relationship with both Russia and the United States, the South Asian country has found itself in a catch-22 situation. India abstained from voting in the US-convened meeting of the United Nations Security Council on the Ukraine crisis. It also refused to comment on the issue at the Quad meeting in Melbourne. On the economic front, India will be largely impacted due to the global prices of crude oil, which are already on fire, and a military conflict would send them even higher. Moreover, Ukraine is also the primary source of India's sunflower oil import. In 2021, India imported around 1.89 million tons of sunflower oil, 74% of which came from Ukraine. With China backing the Russian offensive, the United States may decide to tackle the Russia-China nexus at play by taking a preemptive action on Taiwan in case of a military invasion of Ukraine. In such a situation, India becomes a key player in the subcontinent, and both the United States and Russia will want it to either support them or maintain neutrality. Now it is up to India. What action does it take? So, what shape this conflict between Ukraine and Russia take? Will Russia invade Ukraine? Will USA get involved? And thereby, will the world again be divided into two camps? What is it that India anticipates? We will have to wait for these answers. Till then, you stay tuned to HW News. Also, do let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. For more news and updates, you can log on to www.hwnews.in.